Hi, my name is Terlena Murphy. I'm the principal consultant at Force Multiplier Consulting. Today's video blog is a conversation with Mrs. Cheryl Hayward-Chew. She is the chairman, president, and CEO of Meyer Group of Companies. She also has a few other hats that we'll discuss within our conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Today's topic is shifting focus and making hard decisions.
My main hat is Meyer. So that's Meyer Group of Companies, and I'm the president and CEO, and then I also am the chairman now. And then we're involved in Meyer it really is a group of companies. So its main areas of operation though are ships, so that's all ships as an agent. Then the cargo vessels. So that's two of the regularly calling cargo vessels for agents. And I was on the board of Polaris, which is stevedoring services parent company. And that's a main area of interest for us to make sure it is working well. And so I had a big incentive to take on the chair for that as well. So it's been a real evolution. Yeah.
Okay. And then you also have the philanthropy part, Bermuda World Heritage Site, chairman of that, and the chairman of St. George's Foundation as well.
St. George's Foundation, yeah. Right. So went on the board. They were also struggling like a lot of the nonprofits. So that has been really interesting. We changed to a younger, newer board, and had to make some really tough decisions, which thank goodness we made them before now, because we're already in this sort of shrunk position and ready to take on the new mission, and which of course is in a little bit of a holding pattern, but thank goodness we did it before now. It's never too soon to do these changes. Yeah.
This is true. And we're in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's unprecedented for our generation and has caused many businesses to pivot on their business models. So I thought it would be interesting to reach out to business leaders like yourself and ask you a few questions. So the first question is, when it comes to your employees and their experiences at work, what has been your number one concern during the pandemic for your employees?
Well, I was a pharmacist, was in the medical profession. So, I mean, I had been following it.
Okay.
And everybody was laughing at me because they thought I was getting paranoid. And then when you see it tracking, it's like, oh my gosh. So, I mean, I've found that because of my background and because I like to look at the overall pattern of things, I'm almost too far down the curve because I have to help people to, come on, let's go. This is where it's going. So obviously, the number one concern for us has been health. Obviously, getting the supplies on hand. So there's the physical side. There's the sort of training side, teaching people and finding them that they've been going to the office, and it's like, no, it's a shelter in place. So no, you don't go into the office. So it's the little things. So that's more of a training. And then the biggest thing to me is that change in culture.
Yes.
We're a small companies. Everybody has such an important job in the company, and they're very hardworking. And we all, there's that sort of pride. You always go into work no matter what. Well, it's got to shift over to, I think I'm feeling a little bit sick now. This is where I'm trying to get this change in culture for when we do go back to the office.
Yes.
I'm feeling a little funny. I'm not sure. No problem. Work from home. So everybody, it's not a matter of keeping tabs on everyone. Everyone understands what's happening. I'm going to stay home today just in case. Okay, cool.
Yes.
So that's a cultural shift.
Yes.
And really taking ownership for the health of the people around you. Yeah. So I'm working on that now, actually. So we do like a town hall each week.
Yeah.
So I'll and management meeting each week. So, the managers have to lead by example, all these things,
Yes.
who's, because we have essential services, who's going to be in the office. So we're actually practicing and working on how we can manage the flow of people. There's only 20 of us, so it's not too confusing.
Right. But I appreciate that, that you're focusing on the health of your employees and also the working from home. Were they able to work from home before? Or is this now a
Somewhere.
shift in the culture as well in terms of being more comfortable working at home?
It's interesting because going back 10, 15 years ago, we had an exercise because we have property in St. George's and we have offices in St. George's. And,
Mhm.
rather than spending all this money in Hamilton, maybe we could shift some companies to St. George. And we really found that it impacted the synergy that you have when people are working together. Now, that was a while ago. No, we didn't have regular working from home, although some people could work from home and did when they had to, or they were working more than they should have been. Um, but so this has been a culture shift,
Mhm.
but it's trying to figure out how to maintain that synergy that you get in the groups of people who work together and
Yes.
are used to passing work to each other and, oh, can you look at this and look at that. So the one particular team who it has been completely new for them to do it. They've been using like WhatsApp chat groups and whatnot. I'm always thinking there must be something out there that really would work well, but I have to stay, calm and don't start putting new things into the mix. And it's having the bandwidth to do these things as well. Yeah.
True, very true. But again, going back to how you said, if people are not feeling well, take ownership. Like, don't think you have to drag yourself into work. You can stay home. That's another major, I think, culture shift in almost any organization because people feel like they need to go to work. And
Mm.
so it's having the balance in your life that you really need in order to say, listen, I won't come in. I'll just work from home. And like you said, the management leading by example and saying it's okay. Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead, by all means. Making people feel comfortable with saying, okay, I think I'll stay home today. We don't want people to be bringing themselves into work if they're not feeling well. So I think that's a great thing to do in your organization.
And this, although, obviously no one, this has been a good practice. I hate saying the word good, but right now, everyone working from home, we've been forced to practice it. And so it'll be easy to integrate it. And it's not going to be like flicking switch anyway. So we'll probably have to have some shifts and in the work environment. Some people work at home and go in. Sorry. Yes.
No,
No one's around me here.
so shifting to the next question, some businesses have had to make hard decisions to ensure financial solvency. What are the two toughest decisions you've had to make to date? Now, I know you said that shipping is more like an essential service in our country. So I don't know, have you had to make decisions when it came to this COVID pandemic that affected your bottom line?
Well, so we have cargo related operations, but we also, our sort of core business is ships. As a port agent, and of course no cruise ships. And it's not just no cruise ships, there have been multiple ships because the port was closed for anything other than essentials. So cargo ships, yes. The fuel ships for oil docks coming in, yes. Car ships, no. I think the next one's going to be in July. So there's a lot of vessels that use Bermuda as a crew changing platform, or like the cement ship. They have allowed a cable ship. The cable ship was allowed because it was doing essential repairs on our undersea cable, and we want our internet. So it's had a massive, massive impact on those parts of the business. And we also have a whole shore excursion company as well.
Yes.
So that has been like, boom, normally this time of year, they'd be pulling their hair out because it was so busy.
Right.
And nada. So yeah, we're part of us is essential and still working, although obviously the cargo volumes are down and they will be down for some time to come. But the other side has been decimated. So I think that's been the hardest thing is, obviously we had to react to that, which is hard. But the real hard thing is, how do we as a group of companies do it? Because we really are a small, we're only 20 people. And because they're obviously, and this is where my head is at, is where are we going as the economy overall? So even when things come back, how many years, how we have, this is, winter is coming. I started thinking that. I was like, oh, I don't think that's so depressing. But it really is. I mean, all of us, all of our businesses, everyone on the island has been working hard. And all that energy was put into having our businesses survive and thrive and be in good environments and all those things. But now we're not doing anything. So how can you even measure the impact that's going to have on the economy and without the number of tourists, without the number of people here, cargo volumes are going to stay low unless we have some big projects. So that's where I'm sort of, my look is on the future and how long do we have to survive? So we have to be very trim and conserve so that we can get through this long dry period. And that's the hardest part.
Yes, I could imagine. I have had conversations with some entrepreneurs whose business was in the tourist industry, so they have been decimated for sure. Trying to think about how can they change or think about doing something different. So they're not there yet, but hopefully going through the process of it. Because like you said, it seemed like everything was gearing up, different initiatives, ideas, people were expanding their businesses, thinking that things were going really well for them, hiring new people and
investing in equipment and
like
for our shore excursion side, that winter period is when you buy, you get your Holiday Inn, and then the mini buses, you get it all, you invest so much in that bus or so much in that tour boat, and you need that cash flow from day one. And normally this time of year, or not, last month in April, we have the pattern that those first ships come in and they're at the door. Come on, can we get the check please now? Because they've just made it to that point.
Yes.
And that's when it hit. So it has been extraordinarily difficult. The government obviously having the unemployment, the benefits that they've done has been a stopgap. And it's meant that people at least have some food on the table, even if they're maybe not able to cover the rents and whatnot. So this whole incredible domino effect. Yeah, so we're hanging on for dear life now. We're on our life rafts and riding this, but it's like, once we actually get beached into land, something, it really is going to be a whole new norm. So, yeah. I mean, so how we are as businesses, and it's going to be changed completely. So,
what kind of changes do you see happening with your leadership team in response to the organization changes that you may be implementing? We talked a little bit about the culture shift when it came to health and making sure that people monitor their employees and themselves in a way that's different. But is there anything that you're asking your leadership team to do during this time?
Well, one thing, what we're missing now is the little interconnections that held us together. So our operating companies are still operating and talking amongst themselves, but we're not seeing each other in the kitchen, or it's those little pieces that interconnect us, make us feel part of each other, that are missing. So that's why we do this sort of our town hall check-in, which is, not everybody has something to say, but everybody's there, and it works, even though there are some uncomfortable silences, but that's good. We work through that. So as the leadership change, it is my biggest thing, and that I really have one thing, is to start wrapping their heads around where this is going, and understanding what it means, but we don't have enough information yet. So anything that we think of is sort of really high, big picture. So it's been keeping the morale up and doing it in a positive way, even though it is something that's so negative. But it's actually trying to be as realistic and forward thinking as possible, so we can get some planning into it and how we should react. What are, the suggestions have come up, oh, well, maybe we should be shifting over to a more at-home work-based. And we have an old building in Hamilton. If we lose our tenant in Hamilton, we'll have, it's an overhead risk that's sitting there. Should we continue with that? So we're sort of touching on thoughts right now, knowing that there will always be opportunities that come out of this. So
true.
how are we going to identify the opportunities? And the only way you can is if you're really thinking on, okay, this is the shift that's going to happen, and you do it before the people do. So it's an opportunity. So it's wrapping our heads around that, but there isn't enough data, so it gets you get in this loop of and then we'll have to wait another couple weeks. So.
Well, at least the discussions are taking place and everybody's aware. But again, it is that model of waiting to see what happens, because you can only talk an idea so far.
Yeah.
Right. So, well, I know I gave you those 3 questions, but I have 2 questions that I want to ask everybody that I've identified that I want to engage with. So one of them, for yourself, what advice would you give to business owners, like, the entrepreneur that's out there who are currently facing with reevaluating their business right now? What advice would you give them?
I think the biggest thing now is actually having that realistic look at how things are going to shift. We know that medical will stay important. We know that people will keep having to eat, the cargo related services and online ordering. We will have, realistically, we're not going to magically go from phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can see that I would love it to be wrong about this, but there has to be like little spikes or concerns that happen, so we shift back. I almost feel like the government's saying, okay, well, let's keep moving, so then we can have a spike. Not that they're actually saying that, but we need to be teaching people how this shift goes. So, online, the shift to online, the shift to delivering, the shift to medical, the shift to food related essential. Look around and see what's essential around you and what people have to have. Are there extra services that those who are sheltering someone who's vulnerable require? A little more specific, but how do they pay for it? How can you have a service that does a really good job first, so you become something that they rely on,
right? That
maybe can charge a little more to the people who afford it, and then a little less to the ones who can't, because there's so many who can't, so then you've got that sort of social awareness and side that you can actually use as a selling point for your business. So there are opportunities. It's just that everybody's going to be thinking along those lines. So it's really a matter of moving first, and then being able to use social media and viral, and all that needs to be how you're getting the word out. You don't want to be paying for advertising.
Yes, thank you. And the final question I have is, well, it looks to me and others that it's going to be an employer's market. And so what advice would you give to the person who's now seeking employment, perhaps after becoming unemployed due to this pandemic?
Oh, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. Yeah. And I do think that weighs very heavily, because I always like to give advice with this sort of thing, and then I get, oh, well, do you have a job? I was like, no, I don't. I'm sorry. So I guess it's understand what you do well and how, and this is why when you are working, it's so important to become indispensable to your company and can you do this? Sure. You know, you obviously need to be paid for your value, but that in being indispensable is so important. So it's, I guess, thinking back on the jobs that you have done and that, you know, you really did something meaningful and for whatever reason left. I mean, you could revisit all employers. I mean, that would be the only thing I can think of. Or going back to the first one, but the entrepreneurs, thinking on where your skills are and how you could do a good job in a service delivery company or something related to the essentials, and looking around and seeing what the new companies are, you know, and you may have to work for less at first, but if you think, you know, I think they've really got a good business model and it's going to grow, you can grow with them.
Thank you. That's a good answer. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. Thank you again, Cheryl, for sharing your knowledge and expertise during a time of reflection and opportunities. I hope you would subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I will be speaking with entrepreneurs and HR professionals as they share their insight in how we navigate our new normal. And I think it's important, as those of us who are starting new businesses or looking for employment during this time, to be able to understand what people are looking for and what the expectations are. So I thank you for watching and have a great day.